Our clothes have been in more places around the world than most people. Our garment's tag says it was manufactured in China. Let's take a closer look at the conditions of China's textile industry. Textile workers in China live in two different types of dorm-styled rooms. The first is a regular dorm. 2 to 3 people can live in one 11 by 12 square meter room. Each month, every worker must pay 8 RMB, otherwise as $11 worth of US money, for rent. The other style of dorm is a rent-free room. 3 to 6 workers may live in one room. Although it is rent-free, each person must still pay money towards utilities each month. Workers must also pay for the food provided by the factory. Some factories, on the other hand, do not offer cafeterias. In that case, workers are given a monthly stipend towards food. What is it like to be a textile industry worker? Well, there are over 482 million people in China, 36% of which live off of $2 a day. A typical worker works 7 days a week for a total of roughly 70 hours. Excessive overtime is very common in China's textile industry. Since there is no overtime regulations, inaccurate pay and penalties for refusing overtime are also common. Workers work in overly packed rooms and deal with poor conditions daily. What are some of the dangers of being a textile industry worker? Well, it's important for workers to be aware of their outfits each day because it's common for a worker to get injured by either hair or clothing getting caught in machinery. Workers are also exposed to unsafe chemicals through dyes used for the clothing. The dye is then dumped into rivers, which contributes to the pollution of China's major rivers. Sandblasting, the process of sand being channeled into an air gun and then sprayed at high pressure onto denim in order to make the fabric look worn, also occurs in China's textile factories. This can lead to a fatal respiratory disease known as cilicosis. Although there are known dangers within China's textile factories, the majority have no medical clinic. In addition, there is no sick leave for the workers and the first aid kits are usually locked. How are we contributing to these workers' conditions? As we buy more clothing for less money, we are supporting quick, cheap garment manufacturing. Cheap garment manufacturing produces more in order to satisfy the consumers, but at the cost of sacrificing living wages, safe working conditions, and the health of the textile industry workers. How can we as individuals make a difference for these Chinese textile industry workers? By buying sturdy, more expensive clothing at fewer bundles, we can stop supporting fast fashion and cut down the need for cheap labor. Now, let's take a closer look at our brand, Tommy Hilfiger.
In this section, I'll be talking about Tommy Hilfiger's labor and environmental policies. Tommy Hilfiger has 3 principles. Number 1, the way we create our project, classic, cool, and committed. Number 2, the way we operate, lean and clean. Number 3, the way we connect, positive and inclusive. What are Tommy Hilfiger's stated labor policies? Tommy Hilfiger states that workers have a maximum working week of 48 hours. Overtime cannot exceed 60 hours. Workers have rights. Workers are 15 years and older, and they are paid at least the minimum wage or the appropriate prevailing wage. What are the stated environmental policies? They use alternatives like organic and recycled cotton. By 2020, they plan to use 100% better cotton. They have rules with water. They have rules with energy, hazardous chemicals, air quality, and waste. Is Tommy Hilfiger living up to or violating what they say they are doing? According to Rank a Brand, Tommy is only living up to some. In labor, the hours are met except under extraordinary business circumstances, which can mean anything, and they are committed to pay living wages. They are a member of the Fair Labor Association, but they do not mention to improve labor conditions. In the environment, they are using alternatives on some clothes, trying to minimize the environmental impact on its generated waste, and they are targeting to reduce its climate footprint by 2020 by 20% compared to 2014 levels. Tommy is on its way towards sustainability, but more improvement is needed, like on carbon sustainable materials, cleaner production, and on the labor conditions. This picture shows how sustainable and fair brands are. Tommy Hilfiger is at a C+. Caring about the environment. The average U.S. citizen throws away 70 pounds of clothes each year, which ends up in landfills. So instead of throwing our clothes away, we should donate them to thrift shops or used clothes stores. Now we're going to talk about the materials used and how they are made.